I'm still shaking. We're now joined by a longtime member of the media here in Montreal. He is a columnist for the Suburban, thesuburban.com. He is also a city councilor in Côte St. Luc. You can follow him on twitter.com/Mike Cohen, CSL. It is Mike Cohen. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Matthew, thank you very much, and I hope the listeners will go on to Mike Cohen CSL, because the last time I was on PSN with Tony Marinaro, I got 100 new followers in 1 hour. So see if
I'm going to predict one extra follower.
Okay,
Stefano,
okay.
Do me a favor. Just add Mike Cohen CSL on Twitter. There we go. Done.
Let's make Matthew look good.
Yeah.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, and glad to be on here to talk about the Vancouver Canadians.
Yeah, well, I got a couple of things. We'll get to my bone I have to pick with you for something else a little later on. But let's talk about this. So the Vancouver Canadians, a single A franchise, of course, in Vancouver, and obviously affiliated with the Blue Jays, I believe, as well.
That's
Formerly,
correct.
of course, the Vancouver Canadians used to be a long-time AAA team, so they have a long history of baseball out in the West Coast. You were out there on a family vacation. You had a chance to go to a game.
Yeah, I went 5 years ago, went to see a game, and found out that the ticket manager was Jason Tackerman, born and raised in Dollar des Ormeaux until he was 10. Then he moved to Hampstead, and then he moved there 8 years ago, became the ticket manager, and now I'm back, and he's the general manager. He's only 30 years old, and just a pleasure to have, that type of local connection. So I spent a good part of the game with him, and on the Suburban.com, you could see my interview in our video section with him. While the game, he almost got hit by a ball. It's a terrific action shot interview live when the game was taking place. And I'll tell you, Matthew, I know you and I had the discussion off air, and I think what you are doing with Expos Nation is tremendous. I tip my hat to you. Basically, though, I think from seeing the Vancouver Canadians 5 years ago and from seeing the Vancouver Canadians 2 weeks ago, I think Montreal's got to get serious. We've got to get a single A team, probably in the Can-Am League. I think it could work. I was inspired by what I saw in Vancouver, and I think we need to do the baby step first while we wait for the major league team to come here in 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 years.
Chatting with Mike Cohen here on the program. So, Mike, if you don't mind, as Mike mentioned, the interview's on thesuburban.com to check it out. It's a great high-quality video, and, of course, they're in the stands doing the interview, so it's a lot of fun. Mike, we have a quick portion to play here on the air. Would you mind?
Please do.
All right, go ahead, Stefano.
Now, based on what you know and what you see, if Montreal does not get a major league team one day again, do you believe that an A-League would be a good way for them to get going? The Can-Am League's looking at them?
The Can-Am League's a great league. I think it could really survive there. Of course, it's hard to get involved in different leagues because leagues are bus leagues, and they wouldn't be able to, a lot of it depends on proximity. But I think the Can-Am is a great job. Quebec, the Capitale are a great example there, and they have great attendance there, so they would thrive.
And my final question is, are you really, really committed to Vancouver? If Montreal got a team, is there any way they could lure Jason Tackleton back to town to run it?
Well, let's take one step at a time. Let's get a team in Montreal first, then we'll worry about that. But I'm extremely happy.
All right, Jason, thanks a lot, and thank you, Alex, and good luck.
Thank you.
There you go. So a little snippet from that interview.
Yeah, I think if people see the video on the web, they'll get a kick out of it. You can really, even though it's only a few minutes, you can really soak in the atmosphere of what's going on in that stadium. This is a stadium with just about 5,200 seats. They average 4800 a game. It was pretty much sold out when I went there that night. They play, a 76-game season. There's just such an ambiance there. And, we don't have a stadium. I think if we did, we would have a Can-Am team. The fact that Quebec City, even Trois-Rivières have teams, that Montreal has none, that we haven't had any baseball team in so many years, any pro baseball team, it's really unacceptable. And I think somebody has got to step to the plate and say, let's get a Can-Am team. I think Montreal should support it. I think, am I dreaming? When I went to see the Impact earlier this year, I looked around Saputo Stadium. I said, is there a way to retrofit the stadium? I'm sure Joey Saputo would not hear of it unless he owned a team. Claude Robillard Stadium, it was retrofitted for soccer. Maybe it could be retrofitted for baseball. And then, of course, there's many parks around that have, 1,000 seats. Maybe they could be increased, or maybe build a brand new stadium somewhere. I know there's been talk about building one on the South Shore. So I believe that there's a way for this to happen, but Vancouver, I just couldn't believe the baseball atmosphere there. And by the way, we were at the Rosedale on Robson Hotel, and the umpires were staying there. And the manager, his name is Jim Miller. He's a Montrealer. Told me that a few weeks earlier, Tim Raines had walked in.
Yep.
And he wondered what the heck Tim Raines is doing there, but he actually works for the Blue Jays.
Yes, he does.
He was doing an appearance for the Vancouver Canadians, and guess who's there tonight in Vancouver as their special guest? Take a guess.
No idea.
Former Expo slugger, left-handed hitter from BC.
Larry Walker.
You got it.
Yeah,
Larry
wow.
Walker tonight. So they bring in a lot of former major leaguers, and in fact, I've given them Crow's information, and hopefully Crow will be there next year.
That's very interesting. All right, so Mike, before we let you go, we're running out of time here. Mike Cohen, of course, from the Suburban. I love how he's even got info from the hotel guy, right? That's the instinct of having to call him with inside tidbits for so many years in the Suburban. But you're city councilor in Côte Saint-Luc. How long has it been?
It's been 8 years. I'm going to be running for my third mandate in November, and the campaign has already begun. All
right. Well, good luck with that. If you're in Mike's district, which one's that?
I'm in District 2, which is very close to the Cavendish, the Cartier Cavendish, formerly known as the Cavendish Mall.
All right. Now, before I let you go, I've ranted about this on the program before. I'm a resident of Côte Saint-Luc. What is the story with current city councilors, current serving city councilors, having parks named after them? To me, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, let's have an inventor. Let's have some great person why are we doing it after, the regular city councilors? I don't understand that.
Let me just go on the record as saying that there's no Mike Cohen Park. That happened before I became a councilor. What happened was Robert Libman, when he was the mayor, and the Côte Saint-Luc was swallowed up by Montreal, demerged, and it looked like they would never be around again. Robert decided that he would name a park after all the councilors who were out of office, thinking that they'd never be councilors again, not realizing that they'd be back. So that was a decision made under the Libman administration, and once it's done, there has been no desire for anyone to undo it.
All right. Well, fair enough. I had to ask. MikeCohen.ca is his website. Also, check out this great video with the GM of the Vancouver Canadians on thesuburban.com. Thanks so much, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
All right, there you go. Another edition of Game Points.